Let's begin with something obvious about Walt. He's not in the empire business as he says he is. He's in the power business. And the empire just comes along. Being in control over a simple situation helps you build subconscious dominance over people. So in this video, I will give you 5 tips on how to be more dominant in every single situation. Being more dominant means that you're respected by others, and your opinion is needed when making a vital decision. Therefore, I will use 2 main criteria to analyze Walter White from the so iconic drama series Breaking Bad. So let's sort out what they are. Body language. Believe it or not, above 70% of all communication is nonverbal, which means that body language is almost as important as the quality of dialogue. Body language, compared to sign language, happens subconsciously. So, if you learn to control it, you can be much more powerful than most people. To give an example, no matter how strong your argument is, if your body is closed and hunched over, you won't be as persuasive as if you show confidence and maturity by smiling quietly and just keeping the energy positive. The second criteria is the quality of dialogue. You can't just pop up somewhere wanting to be in control if you're talking nonsense. So, the quality of dialogue means what you say and how you say it. Now let's dive deep into Walter White. Secret number 1. Always say less than necessary. To start off this video, I will begin with the 4th law in the book by Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. It says that the more one talks, the more common he appears and less in control. It suggests impressing people with actions instead of words. And that is exactly what Walt is doing. Let's take the scene where Walt met Tuco for the first time. He went there wanting $50,000. Instead of convincing, Heisenberg said that Tuco damaged their operation and that he needs the money. And the moment Tuco began opposing, Walt just started acting. And what happened? Walt got what he wanted. He didn't need to tell Tuco that he could outsmart him when he could have outsmarted him. See, people are more likely to believe what one does rather than what he says, because words are just sounds in the air, and actions put meaning to those words. So to summarize this effect, I will just repeat Robert's 4th law of power. Always say less than necessary. By the way guys, just a quick note, there will be a link for the book in the description. Secret number 2. Non-reactiveness. Another quality of Walt is that he moves slowly, he walks, blinks and talks slowly. There are 2 reasons why this is always intimidating the opponent. It all comes down to nature. Predators move that way because they feel no threat around, while the prey is always moving sharply and in rush. When acting slowly, you show non-reactiveness, which makes it harder for your opponent to understand what you think and, more importantly, feel. When I was younger, my grandmother always told me never to shout at people because that signals weakness. Back in the day, I didn't really find any sense in that, but if you think about it, being non-reactive shows that you aren't actually thinking that your opponent's argument is stronger than yours. The second reason why talking slowly is really helpful is because it attracts a lot of attention. Have you ever been in a situation where the speaker is talking extremely fast and you don't have any time to comprehend what he is saying? You either stop listening to him or your brain gets wasted. So, by talking more slowly, you not only become more listenable, but more persuasive as well. Before I continue, the sponsor of today's video is... just kidding. Nobody's sponsoring my videos except me. That's why I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, because I put a lot of effort into those videos. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and join my Discord server. Links will be in the description. Remember the scene where Walt argued with the policeman for taking his car. Walt signaled weakness through shouting and moving rapidly. That's why the policeman overpowered him. If Walt was being non-reactive, the officer could have easily listened to him, and maybe then they could have come up with some sort of solution. Secret number 3. Give more sense to your words. Like this video. See what I did there? I said only 3 words, and now all you're thinking of is liking this video, right? Before I begin, It will be really quick, just go ahead and really like this video. Anyway, giving more sense to your words is a really powerful tool anyone can use. It makes you seem more powerful and dominant. But how to do it? It covers parts of the previous 2 tricks. Imagine a group of 3 people sitting at a restaurant. 2 of those people are debating non-stop all night, while the 3rd one is only listening. And then one of them asks the 3rd person for his opinion. What he says isn't something unique nor wise. He repeats one of the previous arguments, but everyone thinks of it differently. So, how did the 3rd person manage to bring so much sense to some ordinary words? Here's the trick: talking slowly and saying less than others. But that's not all. One has to get everyone's attention before even saying something. The 3rd person didn't say anything special, but because these were his only words and people paid more attention, this argument, already known by everyone, was actually special. Walt developed this quality later in the series, in season 5, when he started operating his own business. The scene when Walt first meets Jack is the perfect example of this secret. Jack and his crew were discussing almost the whole scene how they couldn't complete Walt's task. Then Heisenberg starts talking. He asks Todd's uncle where he got this painting on the wall from. This seems a little bit abstract, but is a really good way to grab everyone's attention. Then Walt gets serious and says,
"It can be done exactly how I want it. The only question is, are you the man to do it?"
So to summarize, to give more meaning to your words, you have to grab everyone's attention and then talk slowly and straight to the point. A bonus tip here: most of the time people talk fast because they have a lot of things to say and don't have the time. But actually, when you talk slowly, you have more time to prioritize your thoughts and say only the important ones. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Let's get back to Robert's Green 48 laws, in particularly Law 44. The mirror effect is all about using your opponent's attitude towards them. This gives you disguise and time to unleash your real power. But be careful, this effect is very humiliating and irritating. With that out of the way, there are 4 mirror effects. The neutralizing effect. I won't cover the neutralizing effect, but its opposite, since that is what Walt is applying. The best example of the shadow technique is Walt's attitude towards Hank. Every time we see Walt and Hank on screen, we see the shadow technique in action. This is when you're disguising every single one of your moves and at the same time collecting information about your opponent's habits and preferences. It is very useful among spies and scammers. The narcissist effect. People just love themselves, and since we sometimes cannot find our love in others, we are almost constantly distraught. The narcissist effect is when one reflects other people's interests and passions, making himself a mirror image. The ability to reflect one's psyche gives you great power over them. Robert Greene. So, when and how does Walt use this effect? Over Jesse at the beginning of the series. Both Jesse and Walt wanted to start a drug business, but Jesse already had some experience, so it was fairly easy for Walt to manipulate Jesse with the narcissist effect. The hallucinatory effect. Talking of Jesse, that is not the only effect he's under the influence of. When somebody is manipulating one's reality for their personal gain, it is called the hallucinatory effect. Walt applied it very well when he prejudiced Jesse into thinking Gus poisoned Brock. Liars and crooks use this effect very often, and to be honest, it is not very moral. Mentioning morality. When one mirrors his opponent's actions back to them to show them how damaging that is, it is called the moral effect. This not only intimidates people, but punishes them harshly. What a better example of how to use this technique than the relationship between Walt and Gus. Both of them copy-paste each other's actions, and that is what I actually like about Breaking Bad. Everyone knows that Gus was wiser than Heisenberg, and it couldn't be good writing if Walt outsmarted Gus, and he didn't. Walt used the hallucinatory effect to kill Gus, as Gus tried to kill Walt before that. Anyway, the last secret is again a law of power. Law 11. Secret number 5. Learn to keep people dependent on you. When people are dependable on one, he is in full control over them. But it is really important not to make them as experienced and capable as you are, because that way they are no longer dependable on you and can do the work themselves. So, there are two examples I will talk about. The first one is when Gus tried to cut Walt loose from his operation. Gus was dependable on Walt. If there was no cook, that means no Met. No Met, no money. No money, no salary. No salary, angry workers. Angry workers, exposition to the government. That's why Gus was dependable on Walt. And he actually did something very smart. Gus tried to transfer all of Walt's experience into one of his own people, Gale. Of course, that didn't work out really well, but it was an excellent execution of the law. The second example is Kyra's dependence on Walt. She is actually guilty of keeping Walt's secret, but he manipulated her into thinking that Walter Jr. will suffer a lot from the fact that his dad is a drug dealer. So, to sum up, if people are dependable on you, you are their master. If you want to be more dominant or the best version of yourselves, and on top of that, you like movies, then you should consider subscribing to the channel, because it is dedicated exactly into that. Now click on this video. I promise you'll like it. Bye.